Yeah. I'm gonna sit next to you. I don't like this. Come down. Just over here.
All right. Welcome everyone to the THBT 2019. I'm your chair, Muda, and my training today is Faisal. And the motion this House believes that parents of minority students should raise their kids to believe that being successful is not important than being kind. I invite the Prime Minister.
I just turn back.
No, that's not the aircon. It's a projector.
Oh, yeah, correct.
Yeah. Fuck me, bro.
Kindness is a virtue has been an assumption on the part of many minority children that their personalities and individualities matter in a world dominated by racism and capitalism. The closest metric to protection is through attaining metrics of success that are closest to the most amount of culture. Here's what I'm going to prove in my speech. I'm going to prove two things. Firstly, with regards to the parents, that this has a better outcome for their goals with regards to what they would like of a child. Secondly, I'm going to prove how it's better for children in a world that is discriminatory, which one is more preferable as a metric of self-protection, if it's kindness or if it's success. So the first thing that I'm going to answer is, what exactly does it mean to be successful in this particular debate? So we think that there are many versions of success, and I recognize in the side of government that there are certain limitations for success of minority individuals. So not all of them can become CEOs, not all of them will become highly individuals who attain in Harvard, but we think that a lot of them are very aware of this, and we think that there are reasonable ways in assessing what is successful. So the type of standards you apply for success would objectively be, it would be objective, but it would vary in different degrees, and it would be based on your circumstances. So for instance, if you're a poorer individual, maybe getting into Harvard isn't necessarily your goal. Maybe getting out of the impoverished area, maybe not joining a life of crime, this would be a measure and metric of success. Maybe if you're a richer person, maybe getting into Harvard would be your version of success. The difference is all of this can be defined from themselves, and you can objectively weigh and decide for yourself what version of success you would like to go to. Secondly, the kids in our world aren't like GG.com people. Like, I think they are decent human beings that will carry out normal, decent human interactions. The difference is they're just not going to go above and beyond in terms of becoming better to other people. Before I answer my first question of what's inherently wrong with the notion of kindness to a minority, I believe you have a question.
Yeah. So are you okay with parents telling their children that it is okay to fuck over your own community as long as you're successful?
Yeah, I'm fine with it if it means that they can go further. So the first thing is that I think a parent's obligation is not to a community, it is to their child first. Here is why. Because a parent made the objective decision to have a child, and the community had no part in carrying that decision. The child is a person that never consented to being born. So in terms of weighing who is more of a victim, it is not necessarily the communities, rather it is the child that had no say in becoming part of this world. In terms of assessing who needs to be prioritized, I think the objective metric is to prioritize the child, because that is the person you inherently brought into the world as compared to a community that existed before you. My second question, I think kindness is a little bit difficult to attain and achieve in its fullest form. So here's why happiness doesn't quite occur when you are a kind person. The first thing that you have to recognize is I don't think kindness can exist in a vacuum. Kindness is very much contingent on other people telling you that you are a kind person. So for instance, if I gave someone a water bottle, someone might think, oh, that's a pretty kind thing for Navin to do. But to another person, that could just be, yeah, that Navin is a basic human person to help me when I'm thirsty. He should have done it. It's not necessarily a kind thing. The point that I'm trying to suggest here is that I think there is not many ways to quantify being kind, because it's very subjective and contingent upon other people. But my next question is this. Seeing as like kindness is highly subjective, you must recognize that all children of privilege are taught to succeed. They are taught that they are entitled to success. They are taught they are entitled to become successful. The difference here is that for a kind minority child, you are no longer viewed as a person, rather you're viewed as a metric to attaining that version of success. That's why black kids in high schools are easily exploited by their white peers, simply because they are trying to be kinder, and the kids just use them to fulfill diversity quotas in their clubs, or maybe just assessing notes of you. The second thing, I think kindness is upscaling because it's more subjective. So now that it's subjective, I recognize in both worlds, when it comes to being successful, and I also recognize when it comes to being kind, there will be versions of upscaling. The difference here is this: how does this upscaling become better when it comes to success? We think that while success is subjective, we think that it can be more objective and measurable based on the qualifications. So for instance, we all can recognize moving from a C to a B is a pretty good thing. Maybe you don't run a highly successful business, but having a business that is employing people within the community, that's pretty good. Maybe if you're not producing large amounts of profit, but you're still running a profitable business, that's pretty good as well. Have a seat. The point that I'm trying to make here is that objective success is more easily valued compared to being kind. But the second thing I'm going to do is this. What's most important is for the child to be completely sure of themselves. So in a world where you're taught to prioritize being kind, you're always reliant on other people telling you that you are kind, meaning that they will try to co-opt all versions of what a majority wants. If it means not speaking up against their racist behavior, you will do this to prioritize being kind, inflicting that version of self-harm onto yourself. But the next thing is this. Kindness doesn't mean anything because majorities are entitled. Think of it. A lot of these majorities feel like they are entitled to your kindness and your good behavior by virtue of you being a majority. It's kind of like how Malay people in Malaysia expect for non-Malays to be incredibly kind to them, not because they're good people, but because we are the Tanah Melayu people, we have Bumi Putra rights. The thing that I'm trying to suggest here is that even if you're kind, there is very little increment in how they view you. So how does this view of them increase in the world of government? We think that you must adopt objective metrics that are closer as approximation to what a majority thinks is successful. So for a lot of them, seeing as you cannot convince them that you're necessarily a better person because they feel entitled to that niceness, your only metric of self-defense is to have things that are measurable. So I run a business that makes me more successful than a lot of people within my community. This is just a way that a child can defend themselves. Yeah, I'm a black person, but I run a good business. That's something you do as well. These are the ways that they can define themselves. But the next thing that I'm going to do is, wait, I'm a little bit messy. Oh, right. So the final comparative here is this. So it may be true that kindness may make you look like a good person, but becoming a good person means nothing as well, because it means the child is also more exploited by the communities that they are within. So what does this look like? For a lot of African American children right now, a lot of them actually can exit their circumstances, but they choose to stay in gun-ridden areas simply because they feel like they have obligations to their communities. This results in a couple of things. Firstly, that the children never exit high crime neighborhoods and they are likely to die a lot younger than a lot of their peers. But the next thing is that they just have no elevation in their life. It's stagnant. You never go anywhere and there's no version of which you can defend yourself, because the thing that defines you is what is visible and what is physical. So if you have a business, if you move out of an area, these are things people can see and people can quantify as compared to a personality trait that is defined by the people around you. Kindness is not a virtue, it's dependent on other people. For those reasons, you must pursue success.
Yeah.
This one you don't want to hear.
Prioritizing the child is a fight that is not mutually exclusive in this debate. Within this debate, it's about who prioritizes the child better. That being said, we'll do a few things in this debate. The first is rebuttals to what Naveen just told you. The first, he wanted to tell you that virtues of success are things that are subjective. I don't think it's true. It's going to be proved in later speeches. But this is not comparative to how success itself, when you are exposed, when you get more successful, you are going to a wider playing field. It means there's a higher standard to success. Meaning that there's a constant cycle. You will always want to be more successful. This means that whatever success you have will not be fulfilling at the end of the day because you want more. And because of the high barriers of entry that I'm going to talk to you about, you will never achieve this. Secondly, he want to talk about how kindness cannot be quantified. Well, and like kindness is not fulfilling to people. I have 3 responses to this. The first, the number of people that are successful in the world of government is very low. They never told you why you're going to give back to the community. They never told you how they're going to get more people. Small, and like at the point of which a small number of people become rich, they become successful at the expense of all the other people. That is to say that the stereotypes are going to be entrenched because these people behave differently. The second response is you have to make your business white. You have to make your business cater to the majority culture. What does this mean? He wants to tell you that you're going to open a store in a black neighborhood and employ black people. Bro, Taco Bell employs all white people because if you open a small shop in Mexico, no one's going to go there because there's all gangs and whatnot, right? No one wants to eat there. The third, people value kindness because it's something that's rare, right? You barely see people appreciating being kind and acting kind, especially in the majority. And when you do act this way, you act against what they perceive of you. More on this later. Cool. What is the stance of opposition? We think that being kind is the best strategy to make the world kinder to the minorities. Please engage with this. It is the most achievable and accessible strategy for minorities to take. How are we going to raise our child? What is our model? The first, in the choice of success versus kindness, we will ignore things like stabbing you in the back, being very rude to be successful, or like staring your peers in the back. Keep quiet now, in this choice, right? So how we will teach children to be passionate. We'll teach them to be compassionate. We'll teach them to care for other people and their community. Secondly, we will not pit our people against our own, because we think in their world, to be successful, you have to stab your colleagues in the back. When Indian people want to get scholarships, we're not competing with the vast majority of Uyghur people. We're competing with other people, Indian people, for that one slot. I have 2 arguments in this speech. The first, why is being kind more accessible? And I think this is very comparative to how Navin wanted to talk to the subjectivity of all it, how it's not very accessible. So what is the reality for minorities in both sides? Your likelihood to succeed is very, very low for 4 reasons. The first, the rise of right-wing nationalism, right? We think that it's institutionalized, I'll take it a bit, we think that there's institutionalized racism in both worlds, right? People on the ground, and the majority, are very protective in their ethnicity, whether it's protecting our Tanah Melayu or Trump saying that we should not let the immigrants in because white people own this land. People in power have to don't have any impetus to protect you, right? They don't care about you. We have to, this debate should be educated in the world where we give those people incentive to help you even a bit. People like Parabowo, people like Trump, people like Duterte, people like Bolsonaro will never be on our side. Therefore, we have to fight the fight strategically. Secondly, your accessibility to resources. There are no good schools in your black neighborhood. It's very hard to get a good education. What this essentially mean is all your white majority that has money go to white neighborhoods, get good schools. All of these people are much more likely to succeed compared to you, and because they have better teachers, it's so much easier for them to make it. The third, people think you're inferior. We tell you that racism is oftentimes historical. If you wear dreadlocks, if you speak a certain way, people are not going to appreciate you as much as another human being that speaks in the way the majority does. And the fourth, there's an implicit agreement that there has to be a quota system. That means that only a small number of you need to be there for us to look diverse, for us to be look palatable, for us to be politically correct. With all of these 4 reasons, being kind is much more accessible because success rates are going to be exceptionally low. Before that, Navin.
So you are correct in pointing out that there are limitations to success. If you notice, government is not contesting that. Rather, your success can be subjective based on your circumstances. Why can't that not apply?
I think that the flip is also true. I think that it's because success is very, very objective. Let us say how much balance or how much of a profit margin my business makes. I reject the premise that success is something that is subjective. You want to constantly be comparing yourself to other minorities, to your majority culture. It's always going to be richer than you. I don't buy this whole thing of success something that's subjective. But B, why being kinder is better? The first, access emotions. We have to make these children access emotions that are inherently positive. Kindness and compassion are easily accessible, and we think it's better to treat the majority this way. More on this later, with kindness and compassion compared to the animosity that they want to talk about. Because even if you have successful, you have given up your culture, you have given up your cliques, and you have given up everything that you possibly could want. Why? And so this conversation takes part if that one person they're talking about, where engaging with their kids become successful? Why is it going to be bad for that minority, for the group of people? The first, you will try to always apply your majority culture, right? Being said that you will whitewash yourself. A white person, and this is harmful because a white person will always out-white you. A white person will always speak English better than you, will always wear their straight hair better than you, because that's the standard of which you are educated. It's a constant cycle of proving yourself, right? You have to dye your hair, you have to change your accent, you have to change your clothes. What this means for your community is you're going to villainize you, you're a sellout, you're a cop-out. It's going to be very, very bad for you because firstly, you're going to be shamed by community, so your success was literally contingent upon their struggle. And secondly, you're less likely to be happy because firstly, you're not going to be very happy with success, and now you have no access to your culture because everyone villainizes you. And if you do something that helps the community, it's not good for your PR. Cool. So every day will feel like a hostile fight. They have more necessity and privilege around you, and comparatively, on our side, people around you are supportive, right? You share the struggle. It's an us fight. It's more communal. Our society is more tight-knit. And if this happens at a young age, they're probably going to go on with this. So let's talk about your relationship with the aggressor. Anger has never helped on the world of opposition. When black women are angry, they call it angry black women. They don't listen to you. They delegitimize what you are saying because people do not take anger seriously. When Black Lives Matter, people just see them as a group of angry black people. They don't take them seriously. What is important is it reinforces and confirms their bias, right? The flip is also true. That is, say they are likely to listen to you if you are soft. People cannot fight against kindness. They have to prove why that's untrue. For all those reasons, I'm exceptionally proud of this. Cool. The reason why the side of op will lose this debate is because they were uncomparative and uncharitable to the way the world works and to the way that debating should work. Before moving on to the two questions this debate boils down to, the first, what is easier to achieve, success or kindness? The second, what is better to achieve? So assuming we take the best case scenarios of both worlds, what is a better outcome at the end of the day? But before that, a couple of clarifications, because I believe the side of op is largely misguided about what this debate should be and how this debate should work. The first couple of things that don't fit. The first thing, op claims and makes a value-neutral argument that there are limitations to success. As a result, this is bad. Firstly, Naveen already told you that success can be defined in varying degrees. So it's objective, but there's varying degrees to which it's based on my circumstances and the people around me. And this makes a lot of sense, right? If you're in an African-American neighborhood where the average grade is much lower, that means to say that they will understand that you getting a B instead of an A star is a metric of success, is a way of you doing very well, because compared to your peers, you're doing very well. The nuance here is that success is always relative. Have a seat to the people around you, right? And assuming that is true, that is also to say that you can't compare cross-community and stuff. It's more likely to be dictated by your peers, and as a result, success is likely to be fine. Stop heckling, calm down, bro. The second thing I'll say is that you don't have to be completely successful. You don't have to get into Harvard, Cornell, etc., etc. Why is this true? If they want to make us defend that every single African American has to go to Harvard, then they have to defend every African American being like freaking Bill Gates or being like Steve Jobs and having these large ass foundations and charities. So what am I trying to say? They need to debate this debate fairly. So if their metric to kindness is giving one water bottle to someone, then our metric to success is answering one question in class to proving your capability. If your metric is Harvard, if our metric is Harvard, yours has to be Bill Gates. This debate has to be fair. Calm down, Macha, you'll get a chance to respond later. So the conclusion is, true, there are limitations to success, but it's likely to be subjective. Objective. Naveen already told you why. The second thing, right? They claim that you have to give up your culture in order to be successful. The first response is, I think you have to do that even more.
Because if you want to be kind, you don't want to intimidate white people, you don't want to intimidate the Malay majority, you have to be submissive, you have to lower down your culture, lower down your ethnicity. But why is it so much worse in your world? Because the only reason people like you in your world is because you dumb down your culture, is because you are submissive. What's the comparative? In a world where you get a bit more successful in our world, you have a defense mechanism, you have money, you have capital, you have the capacity to escape. So even if white people don't like you for your, so even if you were submissive before and now you want to re-represent your culture, you have that capacity to, because you're a small business owner with money, with wages, with the capacity to defend him or herself from that. The comparative is you're kind, you have no defense mechanism, bro. The moment you stop being kind, people will hit you, people will yeah. And I think a very good example of this, right? This is the reason why when you see a really kind person doing a lot of good things and then they do one bad thing, people hate them forever. But if a generally bad person does one kind thing out of the blue, we love them and we appreciate them. And I think it's a very fair parallel in the way society currently works. But the third clarification, like Josh had a seat, the leader of op claims that there'll be a lot of animosity towards the majority, and as a result, this is bad for success. So the first thing is this literally doesn't make sense, because if having animosity towards the majority means that you are less successful, then you wouldn't have animosity towards the majority. The second thing is this is a contradiction, because if it is true you're going to give up your culture and go to such lengths for the majority in our world, I don't understand why you also have animosity and be aggressive towards them, because if not, then your arguments don't work. The last thing I'll say is I think you can fiat that human beings want to be kind, but you can't fiat that they have basic human desires. And I think if you want to talk about animosity, at some point, right, after continuously giving up your happiness for other people, you're more likely to lash out, you're more likely to feel horrible. So all your thoughts of animosity are more likely to happen. And I'll expound on this later. I actually think it's a pretty smart argument. I'll explain it later. So the first question I'll answer: what is easier to achieve? Have a seat. So the first thing they argue is that success always upscales. So the moment you gain more success, you go into a wider area, etc. etc. The first thing is, if that is true, I think kindness upscales as well. Because the point in which you give one water bottle and then the person is happy or something, then you have to give more. You have to give up job opportunities, you have to give up everything. So yes, it upscales, but it's not contentious because it happens in your world as well. So the question must then become, considering this upscaling is a constant because it applies to everything we do in life, we always want to get better at whatever we do, so we always want to be more kind. What are the things that make kindness worse than success? The first thing that was unresponded to, that kindness is contingent on other people's reactions. You don't know what kindness is. Kindness is a feeling. You don't feel like you're a kind person unless someone tells you you're a kind person. Why is this very bad? White people aren't going to feel like you deserve that appreciation because they feel entitled to that appreciation for all the reasons that Jashrich himself gave you about Tanah Melayu, etc., etc. So they're not going to appreciate your kindness to begin with. But this is very pernicious for two reasons. One, you don't feel appreciation, but two, upscaling of kindness is worse in your world because you never know if you're kind enough. You always feel like you're not enough. For the majority, the comparative is maybe you won't reach Harvard, but getting out of that ghetto community and being able to feed your family is a metric of success I can define for myself, and that will always stay with you. At the very least, you have the so even if it upscales, I think you have the memories of the success before to tell yourself that I'm a reasonably successful individual, even if I'm not the most successful, and I think that's a good thing. But the second thing, this is really good, guys. So have a seat. Kindness requires prioritizing yourself, other people over yourself. So you can fiat that success is not as important, but you can't fiat that innate human desires disappear. What do I mean by this? Like you wanting to buy a jet ski or you wanting to have ice cream. These are innate human desires that you can't take away. It's not success, it's just what I feel. So in your world, kindness makes you happy in the short term because you give up your opportunity for someone else. But the nuance is it restricts your choices and your capacity to be happy in the long term. Yes. Okay, so what is your standard of success actually? Just now you said that just enough to survive, but at the same time you said that there's a defense that you have money and to defend up to survival. What is it actually?
Correct, Machan. So there are varying degrees of success, right? So if you come from a very poor community, becoming owning a business is a huge metric of success. If you come from a freaking rich family, Harvard is your only metric of success. So what that is to say is that it's relative to different people. I think I had a whole speech about this. You want to respond and operate, go for it. So it requires prioritizing others over yourself. It restricts your choices in the future. This is to say that when you want to access a choice that makes you happy, you are less able to because you have given up opportunities in the past that is a prerequisite for those choices and for those happiness. The last thing, I think Navin also told you that success has some commonly agreeable metrics among communities and so on, and so you're able to define the grading system, etc., etc. Comparative is kindness doesn't exist. The last thing I want to respond to, what is better to achieve? So with regards to stereotypes, and I think they missed the large chunk of Navin's speech. I think there are two kinds of stereotypes that exist in this world. one is like based on your character. So they say Indian people are animals, thieves, and so on. One is you're not contributing to society, the economy and stuff like that. The economy thing is something we can fight. If we become a bit more successful, we pay our taxes, that's something we can fight. But Indian people being animals is not something you're ever able to disprove to a white person. The reason why is because it's subjective. It's because there's no metric to proving that you're not an animal, that you're not a horrible person. That's the reason why, because I get like good grades in my exams, people like me. But when I go to a shopping mall and you say, hey, Indian fellow animals. So, in conclusion, I don't want to be an animal. I want to fight with good grades. I want to fight with being like a successful person. Rupanandri, namaste, Sasika.
Hello. I have the mask. I can like multiple languages.
The live stream cannot capture your movements.
Hello. Prompt has been incredibly convenient in this debate. My entire speech is just going to be me having fun pointing you out how they grandly lost this debate. Note that the world of proposition is a world where we continually promise every African American child, every trans person, that success is out there. All you need to do is just go out and grab it, when a vast number of them, as they concede, will end up living unfulfilling lives, never have ever achieved that feeling of success, and would have died unhappy. That's why we tell you, on a statistical front, they already lose the debate. They need to either tell us why the success and the happiness that comes with success is so great to the point we can trade off 9 out of 10 African American children, or that the pursuit of success itself is one that's going to be happy and one that's going to be great for this person. On both those fronts, they fail. That's why success is a horrible metric that we should not be forcing down onto the throats of children. So my speech is going to be like this. I'm going to talk about two responses to the speakers before me, and I'm going to tell you generally broadly my argumentation as to why you get treated better, and why even if you don't get treated better, why your community will accept you more. And these are important things for these minorities. Responses to the speakers before me. Firstly, on this idea of how subjective is kindness. So there are a couple of things they say to this. The first thing they say is that not a lot of things are kind, and kindness is subjective to the person that is giving out your affirmation. So all I have to prove here is that the ability for you to be kind, if it's more accessible than the ability to feel success, we win on this front. Here's why that's true. Because the way in which no thank you can be kind is incredibly varied, and there are a lot of people that you can be kind to in the world. For example, you can be kind to your own mother, you can be kind to your own friends, you can be kind to any average person you see. On all these fronts, average people are more likely to give you affirmation, because the threshold to being kind is not as high as they suggest. They just say kindness is very rare, like as if it's a joke. Right? The kindness is very common, as if it's a joke. It's really not that. A lot of people are living shitty lives in the world. If you are surrounded by minorities, these people are incredibly unfulfilled. The smallest action of kindness oftentimes at least giving you a thank you in response, which is an affirmation that's sufficient to say that you are a good person, you made someone good enough, you made someone happy enough that they are willing to be grateful to what you said. But no, the flip under their work, for them to experience this kind of affirmation, is the ability for them to get that success that they have focused on their entire life. So note, under their work, for the African American businessman, for them to feel happy is when they get that business opportunity, or when they are able to give those KPI, be a successful business. It's incredibly focused and over-invested in one area, versus kindness, which is something you can get anywhere, at any point in your life. So on that front, if you're comparing on access alone, they lose on that front. They don't tell us why over-investing in one area is going to give you that ability to kindness. Just be honest, just be compassionate, just not be a ruthless person. All of these are things that people are generally going to value and thank you for. But also note that if it is true that the people around you are those minorities, and if you're kind to them, they are far more likely to appreciate that kindness more in a world where people are horrible against you. That's why we have so many cliques in any ethnic schools that you go to, any like co-ed schools that you go to, because people recognize that being around the minority that you are people who appreciate your kindness more and appreciate the truth and the honesty that you give. On all these fronts, you are far more likely to be better. But they also say that if you are not a kind person, so suddenly there's a slip in your character. So like Pasya, for example, one day decides to backstab me. I'm going to hate her as a person because she has deviated from the norm. I don't think it's true. I think it's more likely you will forgive this person because you know this person has a track record of being kind the entire time. That you will let it go. It's okay, it's fine. We will let this person go because we can still thank them for all the good that they did. So I don't think that you're just going to like discount an entire person by virtue of you having some slip. But I also told you that the slip won't happen because it's very varied. You can be kind in any possible way. But also note, right, like on this, like they have to engage with the fact that the happiness that they get under their work is only contingent on you achieving that success. They already considered that 9 out of 10, or like a
large chunk of these people are not going to succeed. Why is the pursuit of success then one that's valuable at their work is something they don't understand. But we also told you that the pursuit and the journey to being successful at their work is going to be one that's incredibly consuming, because it's a day-to-day competition with every other person around you, where you consistently feel inferior, when you consistently don't know whether you're successful enough because you're holding yourself to higher standards. And the reason why you do hold yourself to a higher standard is because when it comes to success, they already considered that they're only going to, so there's a couple of problems with what they say with regards to their success. The first problem, and the reason why it's the grandest cop-out in history, is because if success is very small in their work, as they suggest, it will be viscerally relative to everyone around you. You cannot go into just the African American market and say, I'm going to compete among African Americans. Because number one, African Americans already hate you because they could see they will step on every other African American to get the opportunities that they want. That means your target market or the ability for you to succeed is not with other African Americans, it is with white people. But if that's true, that means every time your restaurant loses to a white restaurant that's right next to you, or every time the white manager that you need to displace in order for you to be a manager, you don't get to displace these managers, these are fronts in which you lose that success if you are not able to feel that fulfillment and their work. That's why you don't get the ability to feel that success in their work. But as I told you also, if you want success within your own community, Hans is right to suggest that you will always compare yourself to your peers. Your peers are more likely going to be white. So if you whitewash yourself, you are going to be around, if you're a black person who whitewash, your friends are Hannah, Becky, and Samantha. Hannah, Becky, and Samantha will consistently be better and get better grades because the teachers like them a lot more than you, who's the try-hard African-American girl who will never be able to fit in with the African-American community, but it's also not good enough to be a white person compared to all the white people. On all these fronts, success is incredibly inaccessible, not possible statistically. That's why we would prefer the strategy of prioritizing kindness. Before my argumentation, sure.
So this debate cannot be about family and friends. So obviously your family, if you do something nice for your partner, she's going to say you're kind. The same way how if you wake up every day just for waking up, your mama will say you are successful.
It can be about family and friends because you can be kind to anyone. In fact, you can be kind in school. Your teachers will like you more, your friends will like you more, you won't get hate on all these fronts. It's anyone who you interact with versus the specific kindness. We're not talking about this is actually the debate. It doesn't think you must be kind to everyone in the world. It just has to be accessibility of kindness. But the last thing they want to say before I get to argument, I forgot, is that you must give up something of yourself when it comes to being a kind person. I don't think it's true because number one, of the very nature I already told you, oftentimes you don't have to give up a lot. But second, even if you have to give up a part of yourself, that time and energy that you give up at our work to be kind is the same time and energy that you waste in your work also trying to get the pursuit of success. So I don't think it's a contentious thing about you giving up a part of your life. In both worlds you have to give. Argumentation really quickly because not enough time. But basically you get treated better for two reasons. You don't confirm stereotypes against you that exist right now. For example, the angry black woman trope that's been historically used to silence the African American struggles. The fact that they are silencing you and saying your anger is the reason why you are irrational. All of these are reasons that you are not able to employ under our world because kindness is something that you cannot silence because it's believed to be a virtue. Universally, it's believed to be associated with good people and goodness. On all these fronts, we tell you you're more likely to be in a part of activism that's a lot more receptive towards you. You get more shared empathy from your people, and your very own community welcomes you to your own activists and your protests. On all those fronts, we think you're happier off as a minority in opposition.
I think the first thing that we have to recognize is that under our, we won't be going to we won't be extremely bad people. We won't be unreasonably mean to other people because what prioritizing yourself just means that you think about yourself or what makes you happy. This might mean like you compete against other people in order to get that position, but that doesn't mean that every time you maliciously attack other people in order for you to get that position. I think we just need to be a bit reasonable in characterizing how do people actually compete in the current world. Before I go to my issue, the first thing that I would like to clarify is on this idea of culture, because they say that now you won't feel a part of your culture because culture will villainize you because you compete against them, you fight against them, and you fight against your own community. Number one, I think it's very unreasonable because reasonably we fight against each other all the time. By virtue of all of us being in university, choose proves that we also fight to be in a job in the future. We fight against each other to enter university. We fight against each other in debate competitions all the time. This doesn't mean that we will villainize each other because of the competition. The point is, people already see that competition in the world is something that's normal, a fight that for you in order for you to survive. So just by virtue of them fighting against their community, wouldn't mean that their community will now unreasonably villainize them and make them feel shit for themselves. But also number two, even if it happens, and even if they want to say that the community villainize them because now they fuck over the community, we think that the child is still more important. Because number one, we've already told you that improvement within the community oftentimes takes a very long time and is not within the lifespan of the child. So even if your community improves as a community, it's rarely benefit the child at that point of time. But so the alternative is that it's better for the child to compete for themselves and for their own benefit. But number two, also you don't owe the community anything because you don't even consent to be a part of that community to begin with. And I don't understand why community is more important than the child. If the child can feel happiness for themselves, we think that's already a benefit on its own. Moving on to my issue, what is subjective and what is objective and which one is actually better? The first thing is the side opposition want to say that kindness is something that is subjective. So I already told you that kindness is highly dependent on affirmation and what people think about you. They responded by saying, but average people appreciate it. Your family, your friends would appreciate this kindness. So one thing that they didn't respond to is this idea of entitlement. So people around you oftentimes feel that they deserve that form of kindness from you. For example, your parents, they'll say, you are my child, you should be kind to me. Or like your community would say, I am part of the community, you should be kind to me. Or people outside the community is a lot worse because they just think that you are lower than them and you deserve to give that kindness to them. An example is like from Malaysia, they think that we give this land for you and we deserve this kindness for you because of what we did in the past. So we think that because of this entitlement that exists, it's very difficult for you to feel that you give some form of kindness because people think they deserve it. Also number two, your family and friends are people who are also most likely to make you feel happy. So maybe they'll just say like, okay, you do this act of kindness and that makes you feel happy. But for that person, oftentimes that's not really the metrics of them feeling happy because that's just the people proximate to them. They still think that the people want to please them. So what they want to feel that that response is from people who are outside of the community because they want to feel like they make an impact to the world. Similar to on the outside, where they want to make success that can be shown to other individuals. Similar to that kindness, they always want to show to the people outside of the community because that's when they feel that they are accepted in the outside world. But the next question is, under which world is it worse? Because we think that kindness, because of its subjectivity, it's worse because it's always dependent on reciprocity. So as long as, because like in order for you to know that you do something kind, you need people to at least show you that you are doing kind. And oftentimes this is being shown by reciprocity. If I'm being kind to you, you should be kind to me back. Like unfortunately, that's not how the world works. So for that child who has always believed that if I do kind for other people, I receive the same thing, this will damage the child because most people just feel entitled to that kindness and they're very unlikely to reciprocate that kindness to you back. But the next thing that they say is on this idea of forgiveness, like you can always forgive them. I think it's bad for minority because if minority forgives the majority, that is minority also forget what the majority has already done to them in the first place. Like forgiveness is bad because the minority should also think that they deserve something. If they forgive, it is similar to them being submissive to the majority and what the majority want. They're more like to suck up to what the majority thinks is right. But the next idea is success. So why is success objective but varying degrees also exist? Because number one, people appreciate success because there's a standard to what success really means. So for example, people agree that a B is better than a C or an A is better than a B. Like these are things like grades or like you owning a house. Like these are just reasonable reasons as why people see that you are more successful than another individual. So like even in this world, people don't only appreciate like the richest person, we also appreciate people who get a job, own a house at whatever age they are. But also number two, the reason why it is still better, and specifically for this minority, is that you still have the ability to convince yourself that I am successful in comparison to convincing yourself that I am kind. The reason why this is true is because there's always a metric as to how you perceive you successful. So for example, if I got an E in my math test all the time and suddenly I got an A, then I think that's a success for myself. Or even a small improvement because there's proof to it. Kindness, you don't have any proof to prove to yourself yourself that I have already been kind enough, because people just simply don't show it back to you. The comparatives, that it's easier to convince yourself that I have achieved some of success in comparison to I have achieved some of kindness, because there's no proof to show that you have done something kind. Before that, sure.
On that African American getting the A and it being a metric to success, number one, you don't prove that it's easy for an African American to get the success, so you still lose a lot of people. But second, when you get there, tell me why you won't say, but the white people have already been getting it so long, I must now get A's across all my subjects.
So I already told you that it's not just one thing that defines success. Like there are varying levels, and the reason why this is true is because people already appreciate success at its various forms. But the comparative is also your kindness that has no metrics at all. It's very difficult for people to convince that they're already being kind enough. But the next thing is which is more achievable, because side opposition kept on saying that success is difficult. Maybe success is difficult, but there are different degrees of success that you reasonably can access through this. But the first thing that Don want to say is this idea of upscaling. So I already told you that kindness also, like upscaling also exists on kindness, but the reason why it is worse is because number one, kindness is always contingent on other people's reaction. You can't define it for yourself, and maybe you think that as kind, but other people don't think, you won't feel happy. But why is people let's react positively is because people think that they deserve the kindness from you. But the most important part is that we also already told you about this short-term and long-term benefits. So even if you can say that these people want to be kind, you can't really get rid of the innate human desires that they have, which means that even if they do something kind, they might regret it later because they think I'm not benefiting from this transaction. We think in that world it's a lot difficult, because then they will just feel regret whenever they do something kind, but they get nothing in return. But also number two, it's not just about what happens after you do the kindness, but also the process of you wanting to be kind, because we think in that process, when you let go of certain things that could possibly make you feel happy, because you believe that after I do this kindness, I'll feel happy afterwards. But if you are very unlikely to feel happy afterwards, then why is the trade-off in the beginning, trading off your happiness in the beginning, something that's beneficial? We think as a minority, you are more likely to just feel sad, because number one, the effect of the making people feel happy doesn't work. Also, the process of you wanting to even be kind in the first place is one that meaning you diminish your own happiness because you want to benefit other people.
Can I start? The problem with side government is that they don't listen enough. They have already ignored several arguments that side opposition have been bringing up within this debate. For example, the reason why you're unlikely, even if you're successful within your own community, for example, there's no community, for example, in a black community, for example, who is gonna back you up? Especially if you're gonna screw over people who are also black, and at the same time also fighting against white people inside government. What kind of benefit that you can possibly have? For example, side government said that you can possibly get money, you can have a possible defense mechanism. For example, you're not happy, you can buy something, whatever things that side government want to say. But unfortunately for a lot of people, kindness is the reason why you have friends, kindness is the reason why you have allies with a lot of people, and I think that is important. The first thing I'm going to do is to deal with the speaker before me, Tasya. Firstly, so side government says that we can still be reasonably nice within this debate whatsoever, right? So first I want to clarify is that the motion says that parents will raise the children to believe on success as opposed to kindness. This means that the likelihood of them being nice is less, because the priority of them is to be able to fight against other people, to be successful, because it is the individual priority that they should be. This is exactly the opening line that the Prime Minister has been saying within the speech that government has, and they have been changing that until the government speech, because I know that they're losing the debate. But secondly, is that Tasya said that you owe nothing at all to the community. I agree with you, you don't owe anything. But like, it doesn't matter of what you think, it's about what people think of you in order for you to be able to be successful. For example, for you to be able to be successful within the black community market, you have to be nice to them, for example, right? Like, what is the reason for you? Like, for example, like when you have one particular scandal, I'll take you in 5 minutes, okay? Don't stand, whatever. Okay, so the reason why this is very unlikely is because, like, when your company is screwed up, for example, having some issues, for example, having some PR issues, for example, there's no particular community that is likely to back you up, because you are literally opposing everyone in your role, and I think that is bad. It doesn't matter whether or not you have the you owe your community or not. It's about how you're going to be treated if you ignore all of these things between your community. But secondly, they said that you can choose. You can't really choose on who you can be kind to, because reciprocity should be there. Okay, so the first thing is that I think Gov only cherry-picked several benefits from side government in order for them to win this debate. What we have already tell you since Just Rich speech that no one in government's case respond is that first, you can be kind to new person. You can be kind to a new person that just joined a school, for example, and make a new friend to them. Inside government, what is the perception is that there's a new person that joined the school. That is my new competition. I'm not gonna be nice to them. That is the perception that side government could possibly sit down. Okay? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so that's the perception that government is likely to have. On reciprocity inside government, if people are expected to be kind, then the ability to reciprocate is easier. What government don't respond is that they're likely to be seen as irrational for being angry, for example. Being seen as irrational for being in the black community, for example, for being angry all the time and don't really listen to you. The reason why the current community don't really work is because no one really listens to each other, because people use anger as a response to aggression, for example, right? And I think that is a problem. And even if people are entitled, the comparative is that we can still be able to have people that is nice to you around your surrounding, as opposed to side government, they only have themselves. They do not have white people. They do not have minority that can be their friends to be able to make their allies. All right. Moving on to my issues. The first, the standard of success. So side government is being very convenient. Actually, I'm gonna take a video. No? Okay, so I think government is being very convenient on what success is based on. Because note this, that government said that their success is enough to survive, for example, and whatsoever. And if this is the standard that side government push to you, they cannot say that they have the defense of money, because the money is just enough for them to survive to begin with. We don't think that is the case that side government can bring up within the debate. But secondly, is that is also contingent on them being successful. Just Stretch give you several reasons on why it is so hard for black people to be successful, for example. For example, just being seen for your skin color, for example. Just because being seen as your eyesight, for example, eyesight, for example, that is different from white people or different than the majority, that is the reason why that is very hard for you to be successful inside government. Even if it is true that the standard of success is very different, for example, like rich people have to go to Harvard, for example, the oppression that still exists, the oppression of you being seen as black is still there, and we don't think that is a factor that's still taken into account. Gov cannot assume that they can be successful immediately. I think they lose this debate because of that. But secondly, on kindness, no. I don't know why kindness being subjective is contentious within this debate. Because firstly, it doesn't matter, because the kindness results you have friends, allies that backing you up when you, for example, failing your business, for example. You still have black people black community that could possibly back you up and support you in that particular instance. And that is Plupi's argument that government didn't respond at all, which is that getting people to support you, getting people to be able to comfort you when there's necessity, that government do not respond. They have lose because they don't respond to two arguments within this debate. What are those two arguments that side government have been turning to you? Yes.
Yeah, so if you want to succeed in the African American community, you be kind to them because it's strategic for your success. Why would you screw them over? So in this case, kindness leads to success.
Okay, so the first concession that side government have been saying, which is that they're okay with them fucking them over as long as they can be successful. Because note this, it's not about being nice to them. It's not only about that. Because government cannot have success and kindness at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say here. Because if government want to say that the success is contingent on being nice, then we can also be successful inside opposition because we're being nice to them. I don't know why it's that particularly mutually exclusive, right? Okay, let me just make it very clear. Government said that they can be successful by being nice to people. We are being nice to people. We can also be successful. I don't know why is that contentious within the debate. Side government, they have already lost this debate with 3 reasons. Now, the 2 arguments that side government have been bringing up to you. The first is that the barriers on why it's so hard to compete within the community itself. Because we argue to you that the competition is not only about whether or not you go to a good school, but in a good school when you're the only African American person, for example, as opposed to a whole class of white people. The ability for you to compete, the ability for you to be able to go to Harvard is already affected by the fact that you don't speak English as your first language, by the fact that you don't go to tuition fee to be able to success within tuition because you don't have as much money as a minority, for example. These are the nuances that Just Stretch have already told you that government ignored at all since the second speaker and no response whatsoever, right? But secondly, it's about the community on the harm inside government is that they'll be seen as irrational for being able for showing anger inside government because they're alternative to people being not for people like being racist to you is that we should be angry to them. That is the reason why people are being so hostile to each other. That's the reason why stigma still exists. I agree with you that we cannot fix all the stigma, but at least one person can be nicer to you because you're not hostile to them. I think that is a much better alternative inside opposition. In conclusion, we think that inside opposition, it doesn't matter. If side government to say that success is based on kindness, we can also get that because we are literally pursuing kindness inside opposition. What is your alternative inside government? I have no idea. For all those reasons, I'm very proud to oppose.
There are two convenient ways that they have tried to homogenize our case to run away from actually responding to our cases. Let's talk about those two things before I talk about where the standards better for this minority. It's a simple way as to what happened in this debate and why we take it very, very clearly. The two things they say is, the first one is, they say that our whole case is a contingent on giving back the community case. Therefore, if they prove that you don't have to give back to the community, you're better off in the dialogue. Here's why our case was never contingent on you giving back to the community. It was very much about the individual minority child and why you're going to fare a lot worse in the world, independent of whether you give back to the community or not. We told you about how you get treated better as a result of being kind, because you're now not silenced by the majority. The anger that you use that is a default go-to for any minority is now not going to be a go-to. That means you're far more likely to be treated better. That is not a give back to the community thing. That means the child is better off because they get treated better. We also told you that you're not likely to get the fulfillment of success under the hour because success is incredibly relative. Oftentimes it cannot be as varied, or you don't have the ability to access many types of kindness. Don't have the ability to access many types of successes as you can with kindness. On that front, they don't tell us why. This is a giving back to community argument and why it's not likely they're going to get to success. So on that front, we've already told you that you have to respond to specific arguments. They cannot just say our case is a giving back to community argument. The next thing they wanted to say also is that if they wanted African American success within the community, then they have to be nice to African American community. Here are things that we already said that cannot prove, they cannot walk away by saying this to the things that they said before. The first thing they said, this was a concession and Darwin speech, that they will step on any minority that is a competitor in order for you to make it. If it is true that you want to make it in your community, you have to step on the other people, because Judge Church in his speech already told you that there's an implicit quota when it comes to the number of African Americans that can take the spot, the number of Indians that can take that scholarship. That just inevitably means that if under the hour they want to be successful, they must step on everyone else that looks like them and sounds like them. But the second thing is, if they want to be successful, they have to whitewash now. They can't just say the world is white, everything is rigged against you, and therefore we will be black and be successful. That's so incredibly horrible for this average, like the African American, so inaccessible. You will have to whitewash. That's why you are likely to surround yourself with white people anyway, and that's why African Americans are likely to hate you for who you are. They will call you a cop-out. They will not support your businesses. They won't support your success. They won't be there for you. On all those fronts, you will feel inferior. They don't get away with that. Which standards are better for the minority? Kindness or success? They tell us that success is great because we can draw metrics. Bro, non-contentious. We told you the metrics exist. We just said the metrics upscale in the long run because of who you're comparing yourself to. If you believe that you are surrounded by peers who are white, if you believe that African Americans are no longer you, then your standards must be pivoted towards the white people who you surround yourself to. That consistently means that you have to try to achieve that success, but never actually achieve that success. So the A that Tasha talks about is not going to be as fulfilling as the ability for you to say hear thank you, or consistently be affirmed by the people around you in your life, because you are not going to feel that success, because it's always contingent on upscaling, because you hold yourself to someone who is more privileged than you. Also, if you buy that this is true, then they also have to explain the vast number of people who don't get to succeed. The 9 out of 10 of African Americans, or like 9 out of 10 of trans youth, why are they the ones who be a cost for that one person to succeed? They don't explain why that's fair. Why do we tell you that kindness is better? Because we said that people can tell when you are kind. Even if they are entitled, you can find new people to be kind to. You can surround yourself with friends and family. Like if you're kind to your best friend, you're always going to get an affirmation that friend is going to stay in your life, friend will thank you for it. These are just reasonable characterizations of the world. They cannot just say every time you're kind to your mother never says thank you to you. You have to be reasonable and say there's some propensity for this person to affirm and validate your kindness. Even if that's not true, find new people that's more accessible than the incredibly focused success you have under their work. They also cannot say reciprocity is bad, because if we live in a world where the standard is reciprocity, then you must hold true that people will continue to give back that happiness to you because they feel that they have to be reciprocal to your kindness. That means that you're more likely to affirm in the hour, even if anger is your go-to We tell you that we are told that you can change your tone, that you can be far more nice to these people because they can't weaponize the very anger they use against them. For all these reasons, being kind is far better than wasting efforts and energy into being successful.
J3.
Here.
Guys, can I start? Okay, cool. For a team that preaches about kindness, I think the side of opposition has been the opposite of it. So, according to them, they can have varying levels of kindness, but we cannot have varying levels of success. We have to be the worst people possible in the world of government, but they just have to be the kindest person that says thank you. If you notice, the low bars that the side of opposition has been lobbying just signifies their unreasonableness and unwillingness to engage in this debate. So I might have one issue. It's just going to be, which the child better off? First things first, I can't believe I have to clarify this, but apparently I have to. According to them, we have to step on other people to become successful. If you listen very carefully to my speech, being an unkind person doesn't necessarily mean you have to be an objectively bad person. So I'm not a very kind person, but nobody really hates me because I don't objectively go out and screw people over. Not being kind doesn't equate to being evil. But the second thing, even if we are stepping on people, here's where they weren't listening, ironically enough. We suggest that you have no obligation to your community for a couple of reasons. Think about it. The child never consented to being born. The child never consented to entering a community. For them to respond to that, they have to explain why the child has to explicitly suffer for the community, which they never did. You can hear all you want, but the facts are the facts. You didn't do it. So the first thing, let's just deal with the bearing of, can things be objective and subjective at the same time? This is where their largest cases are. So if you notice, all of their responses are using rather extreme comparatives, like you have to go to Harvard and Stanford. Okay, calm down. Here's what I say. We specifically told you that there are varying levels of success. So for a minority person, a lot of them maybe recognize they can't get to Harvard, but they want to increase from maybe a D, go to a C, from a C to a B. Is this a low bar? Maybe, but it's attainable and it's something that they can do. The second thing that we told you was that it's measurable. So it's not the best. The B isn't the greatest thing in the world to the majority, but it is a measurable increment in your value as compared to being kind. And here's where I deal with a lot of their accusations of apparent unresponsiveness. So their kindness argument is, you are kind to the white person, they're like, hey, you're my friend, let's be friends. No. Here's where you didn't respond. There is literally and virtually no response whatsoever to the entire nuance of entitlement. So what did we tell you? A lot of their examples, if you notice, are like friends, your family, the white person. These people feel like they are owed your kindness to begin with. These people feel like they are entitled to it to begin with. So if you are kind to these people, there is no increment in your value. So the question then becomes, which version is better for the child? Is it prioritizing kindness in a world where it brings no more additional benefit for you, or is it one where you pursue success and there is a potential increment? The reason why we win this issue is because if you are successful, you're likely to be happier in the long term. So maybe if you open a business, it's not the best, it's not the biggest, but it's something that is yours, something that you can use as a metric of self-defense. So the comparative here is this: they can be kind all they want, but if you're not dealing with the objective markers that the side of government has provided to you, you are losing that comparative because the child will never know if they are kind enough. So upscaling exists in both worlds, but at least for ours, there is markers of this success. I opened a business, now it's making more money, more employees. Compared to being kind, you can be kind all you want. The white fella never going to tell you that you're kind enough. And here's where we dealt with the argument about African Americanism and stigma. So their main thing is about like racism, So I think this is where they ironically also didn't listen to us and didn't respond to Tasia. What she suggested was specifically this: for kindness to be effective, it must be reciprocal. So the person must be kind back to you to begin with. Notice their context. The white people are apparently the equivalent of the KKK. So if the black people are kind to them, they're just going to react rudely or just be more discriminatory to the black person by virtue of their skin color. This just means in the long term, the child becomes more and more frustrated because it's never reciprocated. What this means is that they're more likely to be angry in their world, does all the harms apply. The last thing was about whitewashing. By the way, guys, this was an example Hans used. I think it's their testament to their extremism. The next thing is that, yeah, you have to be the closest approximation to white culture because that's your version of protection. That's why white people want to oppose you as compared to you defending your culture for what? Nothing happened. You can eat, is it your culture? So for that reason, I think it's quite equivalent that the side of opposition loses because they are highly unreasonable and they're uncomparative in this country.